It is now 8:40. Post-traumatic stress, that is something that emergency first responders can suffer from after dealing with calls and situations that can really have a big impact on them. A new documentary is screening next week here in San Diego that focuses on this topic.
Yeah, it's a very important topic. Joining us this morning, Conrad Weaver, the director of the film. Conrad, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, why did you decide to make this film?
Well, about 5 years ago, I was sitting in the front of a police car doing a ride-along for a documentary I was working on about the opioid crisis, and we were called to a fatal overdose scene. And as a civilian, that's something I'm not familiar with and certainly not used to seeing. And that got me to thinking about how these type of scenes impact first responders. And I started doing some research, and I discovered this whole problem of post-traumatic stress and the impact that it has on first responders. And so I looked at see who else has told this story in a documentary, and I couldn't find much out there. So I decided that to tell this story. And so for the past 3 years, I've been working with law enforcement, with fire and EMS services and 911 dispatch, telling these stories from around the country.
And Conrad, I saw in the preview video that you again spoke to police officers, dispatchers, fire personnel. Can you tell me more about their stories? What did they tell you, and how difficult was it for them to deal with the aftermath of some of the things that they've seen and the various calls that they've gone on?
You know, our first responders, they respond to our worst days. You think about, we pick up 911 or pick up the phone to call 911, and it's because something traumatic's happening. And these first responders show up on those scenes, and they take care of whatever the situation is, whether it's just a dog barking at someone's mad at their neighbor, or if it's a terrible traffic accident where children are killed. Sometimes those are the scenes that really impact them the most, because perhaps they have a 2-year-old at home and now they're digging a 2-year-old out of a car, or perhaps they're going into a home that's been burned and they find family members there. And these scenes they haunt their memories, and they often have trouble sleeping. They then sometimes turn to alcohol and other things to help ease the pain of that, and it just leads down to a spiral of despair and destruction in many people's lives. Not everyone, but many have been impacted by these things, and so this film tells that story, and tells the story of recovery, tells the story of what to do. We also highlight agencies that are doing things right. There are so many agencies that in the past, first responders, when they say, "Hey, I need help," well, give me your badge, give me your gun, you're going to sit on the sideline for a while. And so they're afraid of asking for help, so they don't. And so we want to help change that and help inspire change in agencies and how they manage these stresses with their first responders.
All right, Conrad, thank you so much. I know people can view it here next week, so we will share that. There it is on your screen. January 12th, they're going to have a screening, Aaron.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. What kind of went into this?
There, Conrad, yeah, you were asking a question, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, you worked on this for 3 years. Why do you do
Right.
what you do? You know what I mean? Like, it's so much went into this.
I'm a citizen. I think our first responders deserve to be supported. I think, they take care of us in our worst day. And so many times we forget the impact these things have on them. And I think we as citizens need to rise up in support of our first responders, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's fire, police, whether it's EMS, and even our dispatchers. Our dispatchers hear the calls, but they often don't have resolution. And so this film, if people come out to see it on Thursday, I think they will be impacted by it, and they will have a better understanding of how first responders deal with some of these issues.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Enjoy your weekend.
And thank you.